Every home is different. There's a lot of great home builders here in Utah. There's a lot of great designers that do a great job. One thing that's different from us is we do in-house design. That's one thing about design too, is you have to treat these guys with respect. A really good designer can come up with options that are budget friendly. That takes a lot of effort.
We're able to keep the build process so smooth and so efficient because we have a plan. And that's what we're here for, is to give you the confidence in your decisions.
Because no one wants to build a home with someone that hasn't built a home before. Hey, welcome to our first podcast. My name is Jeff Tait. I'm the president and founder of Estait Construction. We've got Aajah Armstrong on. So Aajah, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Is this your first podcast?
First podcast.
This is my first podcast.
I've actually got one next week, but this is the first one.
Okay, we beat them to it. Perfect.
I know. Aajah's our VP of design, our first W-2 employee.
Yeah.
That's your claim to fame, right?
Hold on to that.
So she was doing some design for us, for me, I guess, when I was on my own, and always did such a great job. Had the opportunity to do some spec homes together where she did some initial design for us, and then was it been about a year and a half when you came on full time?
Yeah. I have my dream job, and people always ask me, like, how did you even start doing this? And I truly think I just found someone to trust me. That was a big risk on your end. Luckily, it's worked out so far. But no, we've got a great thing going with the rest of our team, and what we've done in the last year and a half is crazy.
So Aajah was my first hire, first employee, and it's been awesome. Like, she's kind of set the stage for everyone to grow our team and come on. It's just been amazing to see like how much more you can do with people you trust. And
thank you.
But yeah, one thing that's kind of different from us, there's a lot of great home builders here in Utah. There's a lot of great designers that do a great job. One thing that's different from us is we do in-house design. So my role as president of Estait Construction, that's changed a lot over the past couple of years. I've kind of gone from being the project manager / designer / warranty guy to
designer.
To now we've got, I need a lot of help with that. So it's changed a lot over the past couple of years. So now I'm kind of overseeing everything. A lot of my time is involved in pre-construction with new clients, job site walks, relationships with banks and that kind of thing, and also going out and getting new customers. That's really my role now, is overseeing that. I've kind of removed myself from being on site all day. It's probably my favorite thing, is being on site, and I still like to do that. But that's kind of my role, is overseeing everything now. But Aajah, kind of walk us through what your role looks like as VP of design.
Yeah, every day is different, which is, I think, why we all enjoy this job, is it's extremely fluid and we have a lot going on all of the time. But my day-to-day is working with clients and also working on designing our spec homes. We have a really great mix of both. So day-to-day, you can find me out on a job site doing a walk with clients, with our plumber, with our electrician. You can find me reviewing estimates. You can find me making selections for upcoming design, building concepts. It's extremely different every day, but I love it.
It's been awesome to watch Aajah in her role as VP of design. I remember when she first came on board, like a lot of our subcontractors we've worked with for years, they even then would still look to me like, hey, who is this cute gal walking in here trying to tell me what to do or tell me where this niche is going or where these plumbing fixtures are going. But they have the utmost respect for her, and they may not have known who she was when she was getting started. But I just know that Aajah is going to be proactive. She's going to know where everything goes. So it's been really awesome. I think our job site walks are probably the funnest thing for me, is when we have a plumbing walk or an electrical walk or whatever, showing up there with our trades. Aajah's there, a lot of other team is there to walk them through, but just to see the respect that all of our subs have for the design team. They know the job even way better than me now. And that wasn't always the case. I used to be very involved in that, but now they look to Aajah for questions and answers. And I love that, because there's so many other things that I have on my plate. I just know that Aajah has got it handled, and she knows how to answer the questions, how to direct them, how to lead them. And I think that's just been really awesome to see.
I appreciate that. It was definitely, it's always intimidating when you have, as a woman, you've got these 5 men looking at you for direction. But I appreciate the respect that they give me in that way. And I think all of us have to earn that respect, but I'm glad that they saw the care that I put into that, and the amount of, predetermined decisions and the time that took to be so prepared for those meetings and to know everything there is to know about that job. And so I appreciate the respect that they've they've given me. We have the best subs. So
No, and it's been earned, like in previous jobs, when there's been other designers involved. I think there's there's some respect, but there's also kind of negative connotation, like, oh, the designer's going to come and tell me what to do, right? Or she's going to make me change this and put this where, like, how do they know better than me, But it just comes with, the way we treat them and the way we go about it with them. Like, that's one thing about design too, is you have to treat these guys with respect too. And we're really good at doing that. And you're really good at the way you go about. And
as we've hired like our junior designer Stratton, some advice I've given him is we cannot be the experts in everything. And so I can have my opinion and as much knowledge about plumbing and electrical and, all these trades. But at the end of the day, our subcontractors, this is what they do day in and day out. And so if they feel very strongly about something, it's not my place to say that they're wrong. It's more of just a collaborative effort of, okay, how do we make my goals aesthetically work with what functions logically for you? Because that's just as important. And so sometimes putting it back in their hands of like, well, what do you think? Or what is best? Because we're not the experts in everything. We're a little bit of an expert in all things to do with design, but we're not the expert in, in the trades that they spend their lives working on.
So true.
You got to rely on them. But I also think it's beneficial that we have this repetitive thing going where they're not just meeting me the one time. It's like they're meeting me on this job and then we meet on the next job and they know what to expect at this point, which I also think is a benefit.
Custom home building, like I said, there's a lot of great custom home builders here in Utah, and there's a lot of great designers too.
Yep.
So one thing I think that sets us apart is our in-house design. And that there's a lot of other custom home builders I'm friends with that have asked me like, hey, that's pretty interesting. You guys do custom, design in-house. Some might see that, or maybe not understand the benefit. Why would do that? Because there's a lot of great designers we could bring in. But why do you think that, coming from you, why does that set us apart and why is that different for us?
I think it is extremely valuable. There's so much communication that goes on between the design team, whether that's a design firm and the builder, the project manager, and the subcontractors. We've created a very fluid form of communication in how we've brought in-house design to Estait Construction. And like I mentioned with our subcontractors, it's this repetitive process, but it's also this repetitive process for our project managers and our team now, where design is integrated into just how we have the system of our business. And so when a client comes on and we spend the time doing pre-construction and doing design, our team is also involved in that. And so while doing design, we're creating your bank budget, your allowances, and we get to make selections in a way that's very centered around cost. No matter how much money a client has to spend, there's always a budget. That doesn't mean that we want our clients to spend a certain amount. We are very frugal in that way to where we respect that. This is the largest investment that I think most people will make in their lives is a custom home. And I respect that so much in the sense of how much do you really want to spend? There's a lack of transparency when it comes to design sometimes where a designer could give you an amazing design package but they never see the estimates come back. But then the client does, and you kind of just get this heart sinking feeling of, oh my gosh, like how does this cost this much? And to have your builder and your designer be so involved in that process together, you may get estimates back that shock you, but we're immediately right there to help you to make revisions and make decisions that are going to get you to where you want to be financially. And that is huge. So I think that's probably the biggest benefit.
Andy Thompson, a good friend of ours, he would always say any designer can come up with the most extravagant designs and they can be top dollar and very expensive, but a really good designer can come up with options that are budget friendly. And that takes a lot of effort and a lot of time to go back and get the bids and find the right materials to do it. Another thing I think that really sets us apart with design is that I think it makes us way more efficient.
Absolutely.
You're on our job tread software that we use to project manage everything, send out selections for customers to approve, to sign off on.
Yeah, we're right there in real time. So when we finish pre-construction and we've nailed down all of your selections and we have a bank budget that the client is comfortable with, we then follow you throughout that build process because things come up. There's price increases that happen, or you just simply change your mind. We're human and you're going to see something that you've never seen before that you love on Pinterest and you want to integrate into the design of your home. So throughout that build process, because everything is selected Now the client is so aware and so involved in what's happening during the process because we spent the time up front. And when things come up and we make changes, it doesn't feel so abrupt and like we don't have the time to really think about those things because they're already so aware of what the plan was originally. And we're able to keep the build process so smooth and so efficient because we have a plan. And so to take that time and know that you're comfortable with the design selections that also match a financial, goal of yours, then we're just moving throughout the build. Little things are going to come up, but they're easier to navigate because we've done the planning.
I think it's good to go back to the point when I first started building spec homes for some family investors, which was a great experience for me, a great opportunity, and just kind of shows my inexperience with design and what all is included in design. I was not only a builder, the project manager, the draw coordinator, whatever, but I was also the designer. Because I remember asking these guys, they were, investing and paying for these specs. I said, hey, well, what do you guys want to do for design? And it was like, well, yeah, you can just do that. You can just, pick out the carpet. Yeah, just pick out, just do it like your house, Jeff. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I guess I could do that. And then It's like, these houses, it seems like everyone gets a little nicer and a little nicer. And I'm just like, I can't do this anymore. Like, this is
ripping your hair out.
Yeah, like I can project manage them, but I can't do the design. And so the next couple set of spec homes, we go and I say, guys, I got to get a designer on this. Like just at least an initial design. Someone can give us a PDF with all the carpet, the tile, all the paint colors, everything. And so I had known Aajah from our tile store, and I thought she would always do such a great job picking out all of our tile and putting everything together. I says, I wonder if Aajah could just do a design for us. And so we started having Aajah do some designs for us. And my big aha moment was when you did Jacob's Ranch, those 3 spec homes out in Saratoga Springs. And we had one of our spec investors out there with his girlfriend. And we were at Jacob's Ranch going over the next one in the home that was basically completed per your designs. And we had him there. It looked like a model home. It was staged, ready to sell. And then Aajah was walking through the design with him and his girlfriend. And I'm just sitting back watching her do her thing. And you're just talking through why everything makes sense, why you're doing this tile there, why you're doing these size of lighting fixtures in that room. And I just thought, man, this is amazing that I don't have to worry about any of this. And just all that goes into design. And so I remember we walked out of there and I think you said something like, hey, why don't you just bring me on full time to do all your designs?
I did. I said, whenever you're ready to hire me full time, like I'm here. But every investor is different. And we knew that investor really cared about design. And so I felt like it was important that we sat down and went over all of the selections. I wanted to make sure that they were comfortable with it. And it went great. It was a really easy, smooth process. And that was the start of all of this. But I'm curious over the time and the amount of houses that I have now designed for you. If you ever have opinions about my design, have I ever done something you don't like? You can be honest.
Honestly, I never have.
Okay. Do you feel like you have design opinions? Or are you just like, yeah, looks great?
I trust you 100%. I think you feel that, right?
Yeah,
with the control that I
absolutely.
give you to let you do it. I think, we're going to construct it and make sure it's built correctly. But I've just tried to let you feel full design. I think that has a big part of it. Like, I don't really feel like I have a creative design mentality to like say, hey, this is going to look good. Obviously, when you do something and it's built, I'm like, man, that looks awesome.
Like you can look at something and be yeah, this looks good or this looks
absolutely
bad.
Like I can look at something and appreciate, the craftsmanship and the design that went into it. But I'm not going to be like, hey, I think this color is going to look better here. Like I leave that fully up to
Sometimes our project managers do. Aaron likes to share his opinion with me sometimes about design or our subcontractors. And I welcome that. I like the challenge of opinions, but I get curious sometimes, like what is going through all of these guys' heads of like, when something gets installed, I'm like, do they like it? Do they care? Do they appreciate it? Or are they like, what is she doing?
I think I can see that a lot of our subs have opinions on that.
Yeah,
and I think it's funny, but like I myself, like I just fully trust you to do it.
Yeah. And we just joke around with that. Like when a sub has an opinion that really is not, like I said, their It has nothing to do with the functionality or the ins and outs of their actual profession, and it's strictly a design opinion. We joke with that of like, okay, well, when you get designer on your business card, we'll talk.
And I think that's why I knew so badly that we needed something.
Yeah.
And that was a big part of why you came on. And not to say that like there's not other great designers out there, but like
No.
the other thing about design too is, and when you asked me that question, I think there's just so many other things going on in my mind.
Yeah.
That I don't
This
have
is
the
the
time
least
and
of
the
your
space
worries.
and I know it's
Yeah.
handled.
Right.
So I don't have the time to take up the mind space to think, oh, no, I think
Is
you
this
should
going to
do
look
this.
good with
Yeah.
this tile? Or, yeah, it's a lot. And I don't think clients realize that either. And so when a client even maybe has the mentality of like, no, I want to make the decisions on my home, which that is totally respected. And I'm here to guide clients as much or as little as they want in offering my suggestions. But unless you do this for a living, you have no idea how many decisions are coming your way. And that's what we're here for, is to give you the confidence in your decisions, guide you through all of that so nothing gets missed. But it's a lot. And when people ask like what I do for a living, I try to give them a little example of that. Like down to the hinge color on your doors, down to the profile of your windowsill. Like it's everything has to be decided on.
Yeah,
So,
and I think one thing that's really cool too is how open you are for when a custom client comes in. Mm-hmm. We want to see their Pinterest board, right? We want to see what kind of designs they like, what kind of Instagram photos they like, and they put that together. And we want it to be their design, we want it to be their style.
right.
But pretty much every custom build, once they get going and get to know you, they're just kind of like full trust to
Yeah.
Aajah and let you take over. But there's obviously still going to be options they may not like, or they may want to do something different. But as we move down the process, it just seems like they trust you so much, and it makes things so much easier for us to have that trust. To also get them to what they want. But like, let's say you're out of town or something, there's been a lot of times we're like, hey, we'll wait for Aajah to get back.
Right. Like we'll just hold off on that.
Let's wait for that decision till next week when she's back.
No, I think that's super important. And every designer has a different way that they go about that. And at the end of the day, it's my clients spending the money. They have hired me to do a service for them. And so the final decision is theirs. And it's different with every single client. I have clients where I, do all the legwork, I present, and maybe we change one or two things, or still, do the legwork, present, and we change half of it. And I do it that way, though, still, I want to bring you a full option to the table because there are so many decisions to be made, whether we change everything or we change two things. If you don't have a starting point, I can't even imagine walking into tile. I use as an example because it's probably the most detailed in how many decisions need to be made, but I can't even imagine walking into a tile showroom with a client and just being like, okay, have at it. Yeah, exactly. There's so much. And so if I have a really good idea of their personal style and what they like, it's pretty easy for me to create a package that we then edit and revise from there. And I think clients really appreciate having a starting point.
Well, yeah, and most people that are coming to build with us, it's their first custom home. And, they may have built a production home before where they get to choose two or three things that are on the menu.
Yep.
And with us, it's fully custom. There's hundreds of decisions that you can make. And so that's why I think it's so nice to have you bring some options to the table.
Yep.
Obviously, they can go out and find, like I said, probably thousands of different things they can put in their home. But it's nice to have a starting point, and it's so overwhelming for a custom home client that may not understand everything that's on the table. And, it's just nice to have you there so it's not so overwhelming for them.
Right. And even if we're in the tile showroom with all of the options available to them, we have that beginning design package. So then we're exploring for specifics rather than exploring just to explore. And sometimes we do that. I like to take clients for countertops specifically, because that's one that's hard to nail down until you get further along in the process, because slabs are so frequently changing with inventory. But I like to kind of walk through the slab yard and get an idea of what draws their eye or things that they like. 'Cause there's so many different options, and we can either go extremely busy and, lots of veining and lots of color and lots of variance with countertops, but then they also can be extremely subtle and a little bit more simple. And I like to get an idea that way of, how they feel towards certain things. So there is a little bit of that in kind of walking around and just seeing what we feel like when I see their reactions to things. But most of the time it's me coming with options. And if we're not thrilled with those options, then I bring 5 more and we just kind of go from there. And it's worked really well. So when clients are out looking for a builder, they've decided they want to build a custom home. What should they be looking for? Like, how do you define a good builder? How do you find one? How do clients even come across someone that they can trust to build?
Yeah, great question. I mean, it's such a huge thing. It's a huge investment for anybody. It can be a year-long process or even longer. So I would say number one is no one wants to build a home with someone that hasn't built a home before. So probably the biggest thing is reputation. Have they built homes before? How many homes have they built? Is there any customers that they know of or that they can ask for, if they're interviewing builders, ask them for referrals and people they can talk to that's built with them? How did it go? How was the communication? How was their timeline? Was it accurate? So reputation's probably the biggest one. I would say communication is another one. How did they communicate throughout the build when we're talking to these referrals? How was the communication? How do they do it? Do they have a project management software? Would they text? Would they answer your calls back when you called them and you had questions? Communication is huge for any builder, and the ones that are successful are really good at communicating. Do you get weekly updates? Do you know what's going on? Or I always tell our project managers, if our customers are asking us for updates, we messed up. If we are giving them at least weekly updates, a lot of times daily logs, they can log in and see everything that's going on the job site every day. They don't need to ask us for updates and having walks with us. So communication, reputation are probably the 2 biggest things.
Yeah. I would also say transparency, which I feel like we are an extremely transparent builder. I feel like a lot of clients go around and they are getting pricing back. They're asking a builder, what can you build our home for? Or what can this builder build your home for? Those are not the kind of questions you need to be asking. Yes, the price is important. That's probably the most important thing to you at that time. But a builder can throw in any numbers he wants to into that budget. But does that actually reflect what you want? And there is no way for the builder to know that until you dive deeper. And so you have used the analogy a lot of, well, how much does a bag of groceries cost? And I think it's important to remember that your selections and your design and your wish list is going to change the price of the home dramatically. And so it's not about the builder that can give you the lowest number right off the bat, because we could also give you the lowest number right off the bat if that's what you really want. But that has nothing to do with the actual price of your home when you start making decisions. So it's not just about price. And I think being transparent about that, ask those questions. Those numbers mean something. So it's important to understand what you're getting when you're getting a price back from a builder.
So true. Yeah. And I think, people want to know a price per square foot. And it's hard to explain that sometimes, but like the groceries example is great. We always use that. Every home that we built is different too. So we can get a close price per square foot based off of the style that they
averages.
want. Yeah. And based off kind of prorate, similar size homes and similar styles that we've done. We can get them a rough idea, but then you get into it and they want to add a pool and they want to do a yard. They want to do a theater and a drop. Like it just, I think the most important thing is picking a builder or a build team that they trust and is going to be transparent with them. And not to say that we're the only one. No. There's other ones out there, but it just needs to be someone that you can trust. And I would say whoever you go with, you get them involved in the planning process.
Absolutely.
And that takes a lot of time. And so with our customers, when we're doing custom builds, we ask for a deposit. That counts towards their build fee, but that just helps us know they've got skin in the game to go through this planning process with us. Every builder here in our market is getting materials from the same suppliers,
right?
The same pool of subcontractors. It's going to be very similar pricing to build the home, whatever home they want to do. But we're going to go out and get those prices. We're going to revise the bids, but like our build fee is what it is. That's what it's going to cost our team to manhandle your project and build the home. But whoever they go with, they need to get them involved in the process. And they'll be so much better off if they get a builder involved from the start.
I feel like another question that is very commonly asked when people are looking for a builder is, how soon can we start and how quick are you going to build my home? So what do you normally tell people?
Yeah, so it really depends a lot on the homeowner, like how quick they are and decisive of making decisions. So we feel like we can be more efficient if we have everything planned out before we start the build. There's the phase of architecture, and that's we'd love to be involved in that process, but that could take anywhere up 6 months to a year, depending on how fast they can make decisions and how fast the architect moves. Once we really get involved and start doing their selections of everything that they're going to pick out inside the house with you, that can be a 3 to 4 month process if they can make decisions. So we're usually talking about dig to finish, right? So I tell people a good rule of thumb is 1 month for every 1,000 square feet, just a rough idea. But like I said, every house is different. Some houses are very complex. Some houses are more value engineered and easier to build than others. But I think if you got a 7,000 square foot house, as long as we plan it out accordingly before we start and have most of the decisions we need, we should be able to build out 7 to 8 months, which,
and that's a perfect case scenario. That's no weather interruptions. That's no change of heart. That's no unexpected, bad dirt that you got to over-X now. There's so much that goes into that. That's perfect case scenario, which our goal with pre-construction is to get you close to perfect case scenario as far as no hiccups, no changes, no nothing that we have to revert and then revise and fix. It's just full steam ahead. And that's why we spend the time to do that.
100%. Yeah, and I think it's a perfect case scenario. Our pre-construction has such a huge part of that. Because like I hear of other builders kind of designing on the go and making selections on the go. Yeah. And then I think you're waiting a lot of times for materials. So, one thing I tell our project managers all the time too is like, hey, if we don't have someone on the site working every day, we messed up again. So I love seeing at least one trade there every single day. And I think the pre-construction process is huge on that. And our scheduling process is huge on that. And maybe you could talk about that. Like, how do we keep track of our schedule? How do we keep our design and our trades on task?
Well, the whole point of pre-construction is to have a plan, because we can't have the tile installer come on site if you haven't 100% selected your tile. Their subcontractors can't come on site without a full plan. It's not fair to them to expect them to come do what they can, then wait for you to make your decision, then come back, and then wait for this decision and then come back. It's way more efficient for our subcontractors to come on one time and have a full idea and a full scope of work. And so that's what that pre-construction process does, is we have a plan. And so during the build process, all we're doing is reviewing, making sure you're still happy with those decisions, making sure there hasn't been any price increases, and getting things ordered with their respective lead times. So we're not waiting. We can't have people on site every day if we're waiting on decisions or we're waiting on lead times. So that's how we stay efficient in that way. But we meet every single Friday and we go over the schedule of each job. And that's so important for design to know, because that's going to make sure we're aware of what's happening. As much as your project manager is on site, we try to be on site too. We're not there every day like they are, but we're on site checking in on progress, and we're aware of more so, I think, for special scenario, like when things need to happen. For example, your fireplace surround is stone, but then you have a stone cast mantle. Okay, well, typically the stone cast mantle subcontractors, they like to come in at the very end because they don't want anything happening to their mantle, and it's going to sit on top of the flooring and it's going to be one of the last things. However, you can't apply stone to the fireplace surround without the mantle there, because how do they stop the stone? It's got to meet up perfectly to that. So I've got the exterior guy putting stone on your house, and you'd think ideally in your head, well, he's here doing the stone, like, okay, let's get him doing the fireplace, but we can't because there's XYZ. And so that's why it's so important to have design involved, because we keep the order of operations in that way at the forefront of when we can do certain things to stay the most efficient, and everything talks. I think people don't realize that either. They make one change and now XYZ subcontractors are affected by that. So that's why the changes they make affect the build process so much.
100%. I agree with everything you said. And I think our subcontractors love us when we have everything ready to go for them. When the materials they need are there, the plans, the designs, everything is spelled out. Like they love that. And that's
time is money, and especially for them,
Yeah.
And for our clients too. The more efficient we can be during their build, it just benefits them.
One of the things that's really intensive is the closeout of a house. Going through the middle of the house, there's a lot of different trades coming in. There's, usually one trade at a time, but towards the end of the build, they can be pretty chaotic with a lot of trades coming in and finishing out. So one of the things I think that's been nice to do is when we have job walks as a team. We've got one project manager that's going to be assigned to the job that's going to be watching over everything. Maybe walk us through why it's important to have more sets of eyes on the closeout of job and how we close out the job.
I think it's really important to have multiple sets of eyes at the end of a job. There's a lot going on. And when a project manager is there every day, it's hard to notice those things because you're so used to being in the home and you kind of have your, your process there and your day-to-day schedule. And it's hard, or it's easy to miss things. And so we bring our whole team in, and a lot of us just are a little bit more detailed than some of the rest of us, in the sense of we're going to notice things that the other person doesn't. And we take that really seriously. Sometimes there's a lot of blue tape, and that's a good thing. I think maybe a client could even get worried about that, but it's a good thing that we notice, and it's a good thing that we get it fixed. Or there could be a little bit of blue tape and it's just touch-ups here or there. I think the end is the hardest part. It's important for a client to really understand at the end that it may look like your home is almost done, and it is, but there's still things that need to be done before you finally hit the move-in ready phase. Because when you're standing in the home and the lighting fixtures are in and the plumbing's in and they're like, everything's done, like it's ready to go. And it's just not there. We got to make it perfect for you. And that's what I would hope a client would expect, is that level, that standard before they move in.
Yeah. And that's one thing that's been really hard. We've been getting better at, like, we want to appease the customer. They want to move in.
It's exciting.
They want to be in before school starts. They got to be in before Halloween or whatever. And we've tried to get them in as soon as we can. But I think we've gotten better at saying, hey, we want the house to be move-in ready. We want it to be done. And there's these houses, they're 8,000, 10,000, 13,000 square feet. Like, there's a lot to them. Everyone's different. And so I think we've gotten better at spreading out our subcontractors towards the end of the build. Give them the time that they need to really finish up and get it done. And so the homework can move in and it can be done.
I think arguably the end of the build is probably the most emotionally heightened for a client, because I think it's just that buildup of, oh, it's getting so close and when can we move in? And every little thing. I love being at the job site toward the end of a build, because every day there's something new every hour to look at. Like, there's so much going on. And so every little thing just feels like a win of like, oh, now this is in and this is in. So it's an emotionally heightened time, which I think makes it really hard for clients to just relax a little bit and let us make it perfect. And because these homes are so big and they just seem to be getting bigger, it takes all of us to really comb through, like fine-tooth comb, go through the home and make sure we've covered everything.
A lot of our clients that are coming to us, it's their first time building a custom home. First time going through a full pre-construction process like this. Every home is different. What do you think are the biggest things to avoid or things that they should take into account when planning for their custom home?
Obviously, hindsight is 20/20, and I don't want our clients to look back and wish they would have done X, Y, Z. That's probably going to happen regardless, in a finish way, because new things are always coming out. So prepare yourself for that. But at the same time, I think one of the biggest things that we run into lands more in the architectural phase, which arguably I think needs to be a phase where people spend more time than they normally do. I think our clients, when framing starts happening and they step into the home for the first time, most of the time clients are disappointed in how small certain rooms feel, especially their master bedroom, office spaces, things like that. They have this expectation when you're looking at a floor plan, how big these rooms are going to be, and they're most of the time disappointed by that. And so I know there are tools like Walk Your Plans and ways to go get a feel for the size of your home, but if you're not willing to spend the money on, things like that, there's also just asking your architect the dimensions of a room and like taking out a tape measure and getting an actual visual for how big a space is. Like I said, 99% of the time, clients are, oh, this is smaller than I expected. And at that point, you're locked in. Your foundation wall cannot now be extended 2 feet, to make your master bedroom bigger. So spend the time, get a feel, and don't lock in that decision until you feel confident about it. That is not an area to rush when you're planning.
No, I agree 100%. I recommend all of our customers to maximize their insulation on their house. You know, I mean, you can always add insulation to the attic space if you ever want to in the future, but those walls, you're not getting more insulation in there unless you want to rip them out and redo it. So insulation is one of those things where, you know, it's fairly inexpensive compared to everything else in construction. So I would say any options that we list on that quote, I think every single one of them is worth doing. And the ones that we're used to doing anyway, doing foam insulation or some rock wool or whatever to do sound rooms and make the master suite, you know, blocked off from sound or office space or even the ceiling spaces. That's one thing that you really can't go back and re-insulate those spaces.
With that being said, anything that's in the walls is probably something you should spend a little bit more time deciding on because it's harder to change down the road. Wasn't there someone in your neighborhood that built a whole boat garage and then it was on a slant and then they went to go park their boat in it? They couldn't even fit it.
Yeah.
And they moved?
Yeah. I mean, talking about room sizes, I guess for most of the guys, not to stereotype anyone, but like, I think for us, for me especially, is garage space is super important.
I always let you take over those times.
So that's kind of my space. Like, I got to have a sink in there. I got to have a hot and cold hose bib. But for the main thing, I want to make sure cars are going to fit in there. And people have Suburbans, large SUVs, large trucks. Like, is that garage door going to be wide enough to actually park cars in there?
Or tall enough.
And is it going to be deep enough? Like, a lot of these homes, you can't even pull a full-size vehicle into there. And so that's one thing I like to be involved in. Like, even a double-sized garage door. Like, if it's 16 feet, forget about it. You can only park one large vehicle in that garage, even though it's a double garage. Like,
right. It may be a 2-car garage, but nothing else. Like, no walking room.
But you know how garages get. People are going to put stuff in them. And
it becomes a storage place.
And you can fit one car in there. So make sure the garage doors are big enough. It's deep enough. The garage space is wide enough. That's another reason why it's important to have a builder come in from the get-go. And they've seen dozens of these homes. They know what space works. They know the sizes. And any good architect is going to know that too.
Right.
The other thing is a mechanical room. We've seen plans before. It's like, well, how are you going to fill your tankless water heaters?
Yes.
Your electrical panel, your water storage. How are you going to fit that all in that underneath those stairs?
Yeah. And no client wants you to come back and now say, we need to make this room larger, and now you're removing all this space you had originally planned on. That mechanical room is huge. That's actually happened quite a few times.
Yeah. So very important to have a builder, whoever you go with, get involved from the get-go.
What do you feel like is trending, whether that's from your own design perspective or just from builds that you've seen in general? What do you feel like what are people doing?
The one thing we're seeing a lot with these nice homes are calling them a wellness space now. So maybe not even an exercise room, but usually in every space you're seeing a cold plunge, sauna, you know, mirrors for weight racks, you know, weightlifting and treadmill space, or just like a full wellness area for someone to get everything done there. So yeah, that's what I'm seeing a lot.
Yeah, we're creating that spa experience at home, and I'm actually really excited about our spec in Dimpledale. We take our spec seriously in the sense that we want to have all of these features, but in our Dimpledale spec that's coming up in Sandy, we have the cold plunge and the sauna, but we also have an exit out through the gym. This was Jeff's idea, and I want to give you credit for that. But the excavation side, the slope of everything, it turned out it was better for that home to almost have that walkout basement feel. And so we have an under deck built-in in-ground hot tub that's accessed through an exit out of the gym. So in my head, you've got this trio of cold plunge, sauna, hot tub now, which is really cool. That's extending that even further, but I think that's going to be a really key feature for when we sell that home.
That is awesome. Yeah, I'm excited for that space. And you know, that's one thing I guess we're kind of touching on is most of the time we're getting a topography report of the lot, right? To know exactly where it slopes and everything before we build the house. On Sandy, that house, they don't require a topography report, but that's one thing we should probably get on every single house because you don't realize sometimes how far back a house drops to the fence.
The slope can look like it's nothing and then it's like...
Yeah, and so we had actually planned, and sometimes it's good to kind of see how the house sits and how far you got to go down to reach the sewer or whatever, but I think we made a change there to put that hot tub underneath in the basement level, which is going to be really cool.
Yeah, that's going to be awesome. I'm excited about that. And I think that comes up on builds. That's why we say, like, in a perfect world, you're, a month per 1,000 square feet. But as your build starts going, you might start seeing those kind of opportunities. And it is fully your choice as a customer and as a client to make those changes and add those things. That just comes with time and money. So don't be discouraged by a pre-construction phase of like, I don't want to be locked into my decisions. You're not. It's your home. It's your money. They're your choices. But that does affect those promises that we make to you up front on what our average times are looking like. So yeah, the sky's the limit. And sometimes opportunity strikes and you're like, this could be really cool. So
Aajah, thanks for being on our podcast today. It's been awesome to chat with you. Like I said, my name is Jeff Tait, president of Estait Construction. Aajah is our VP of design. It's been awesome to talk about design and what goes into it. But if you're interested in starting your design process or your custom home, you can check us out at estateconstruction.com.